Hello, today we are going to be talking about how you can fix your Gamecube's control stick, analog stick, joystick, whatever you may call it. If you are watching this video, you're probably well aware that when you play a lot of video games, sometimes your analog stick, control stick, or joystick may get loose. There are many different ways to fix this, some being more temporary and some being more permanent. Usually, the most permanent way to fix your analog stick requires soldering. Now there are a couple different ways where you can buy a new analog stick and replace the old one with the new one. But for right now, I will show you what I believe is the easiest and most affordable way. Now for the Gamecube controller, the C-stick and the analog stick are built the exact same way internally. It's strange, but games hardly ever took full advantage of the C-stick. So for the case of the Gamecube, you almost never find a controller with a loose C-stick. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch the C-stick and the analog stick. And yes, for this demonstration, the C-stick will end up being loose, but the analog stick will end up being good as new. All you'll need is basic soldering supplies, but here's a list just in case if you're unsure. Okay, so I have two cameras going right now. So we're going to start by taking off the shell of the controller. You'll need a tri-wing screwdriver, the one I'm showing right now. So we're going to unscrew the shell off, and what I'm about to show you is that there's 6 places to do your unscrewing. So we have the other camera angle right here. I'm about to show you what the other side looks like where all the buttons are. Oh, and look at that, the Z button just popped off. Just to let you guys know, there's a bunch of pieces in here. Make sure you're not losing anything. You can have your own method of keeping track of where everything goes. I just suggest keeping everything in one place. And now you can see the C-stick and the analog stick. Alright. So here's where the back of the C-stick is. You're going to need to desolder all of these points. And see where the C-stick circuit board is connected by those wires? You can just go ahead and unplug that. Now it's going to take some muscle, but just be careful not break anything. So you can just go ahead and take off that yellow piece right there. So I'm using desoldering braid to absorb the solder, but I'm not joking, you're going to have to desolder every single one of those points on the top of there. Now just watch as I apply some pressure, how the solder just absorbs into that soldering braid. Now I skipped some of the footage of me desoldering some of these joints, but it's pretty much the same thing every single time, so I really only need to show you once. Just apply some pressure with the braid in between the soldering joint and the soldering iron. And you're going to do the same thing 10 times on each control stick. Now that you have the solder removed from all the joints, you can now pull the control stick unit off of the circuit board. So there you can see I have the C-stick in my hand right now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to desolder all the joints on the analog stick. Just to let you know, getting that purple plastic piece out of the way can be a little bit tricky. You're going to pull down 2 plastic pieces that are at the top, and then it should pop right out and you can pull it back just as I did. Now I know that the analog stick is on the left side of the controller, but you're operating from the other side, so it's going to be the right side that you're working on. So you're going to do the exact same thing because it's identical. You're just going to remove all those solder joints. By the way, if you notice the change of lighting, it's because it's nighttime now, and I had some things that I needed to go out and do today. As you can see right here, the analog stick is about to come right out. and that is the bad analog stick. It's loose, and we're going to replace it with the C stick. So here I'm about to put the good analog stick, or the C stick, in place of that loose analog stick. By the way, congratulations, you got the hardest part over with. Now we just need to switch the two analog sticks over and solder them back in. So right here I'm just applying some flux with a paper towel. I usually use a Q-tip, but right now I didn't have anything else. So right now we're just beginning to solder everything back in. And of course you have to solder every single one of these joints back in. Now this actually isn't my controller. I got this from my friend. He didn't want it anymore because the control stick was loose. So I thought to myself I could probably figure out how to fix it. Which, by the way, this analog stick was really loose. I probably should have shown you guys how loose it was before I fixed it. Before I go any further, I'd like to mention that all analog sticks will eventually become loose. However, the Gamecube has an amazingly smooth analog stick. So I don't think it was my friend that caused this control stick to be loose. Now that I think about it, I just might know whose fault it was for putting this analog stick in such a bad condition. Oh, and yeah, by the way, we're back here now with installing the analog stick and the C-stick position. Anyway, I think I might know who is responsible for this. So I'm going to give a shout out to him. He's somebody I know. You probably don't know who you are yet. But yeah, man, you don't need to be so rough on the control stick, dude. But seriously, thank you for giving me such a fun project to do. I really did have fun with this, I'm being completely honest. I love fixing things and repairing things. I love modifying stuff. I love filming. I love editing videos. So I really did have fun with this project. Thank you very much. Seriously though, it does take forever for a GameCube analog stick to wear out. I still have my original GameCube controller, all the way back from when I got my first GameCube, just a year after it launched. And the analog stick still works perfectly. It's not even close to being loose. So we're pretty much done now. Now we just need to put everything back together, and we need to put the shell back over it. And here's what the C-stick should look like by the time you're done with it. The analog stick should look the same. So here I am putting everything back together. Put that plastic piece back on. And make sure you're not missing anything. By the way, when you're putting the circuit board and all the buttons back in there, when you're putting the circuit board back in, just like I did, make sure the wire is being put in properly. Or I should say, make sure the cord is being put in properly. And then you're just going to go ahead and put the shell back on. Then you're going to screw everything back in. And then maybe hold it and make sure everything feels right. So here I am playing Monkey Ball. By the way, sorry for the bad video quality. I wanted to show the controller and the analog stick while I'm showing the gameplay. But it's not turning out too well on the screen. Oh well. I hope you guys can bear with me. Now, I beat this level first try with the new analog stick. And I'm not very good at this game, so that's an accomplishment for me. And it's really nice because before with the bad analog stick, I could not beat this level at all. Now with the new analog stick, it's a breeze. Once again, sorry for the bad video quality, working with what I got here. And here's some Harvest Moon footage just to show you that the C-stick still does work, it's just loose.